Hey, what's up, guys? Houston here. Look, if you're trying to start your LLC, but you got bad credit, don't have a lot of money, I'm gonna share a place where you should go, and that's over to Zen Business. And the reason why is because they actually offer free services to file the paperwork for your new LLC. Now, the only thing that you would pay is the state fees, okay? But they will file the paperwork. They will guarantee that the accuracy of the information is correct. It's worry free. Now, one of the things about it, they have these other pro services and premium services, but we're not going to focus on that. But one thing I do want to share with you is that they also offer grants, right? So once you become a member and sign it, filling out the paperwork and stuff like that, you also go into that pool where you can possibly qualify for a grant. And as you can see, their grants go up to five. Even before you even set up this here LLC for free, one of the things I tell you, there's 7 things that attorneys, CPA, a lot of them do not tell you, and I'm gonna show you exactly what I mean, guys. So avoid these 7 mistakes setting up your LLC for free with bad credit using Zen Business. Number one, choosing the right state for your LLC. Now, this is very important. You want to avoid these states: Nevada, Wyoming, Delaware, South Dakota. Now, the reason you want to avoid these states because if you're not actually doing business in these states, and wherever your business is actually doing business at, then what ends up happening, the state that you're actually doing business in, those state laws can supersede what's going on with where your business is actually registered. Okay. And you can be penalized. Okay. So be careful with choosing these here states. I know a lot of people choose these states because they're trying to avoid state taxes. But what they don't realize is that even though you may be going to these states to avoid state taxes, you still have registered agent fees as well. And whatever state compliant fees that they have, you have to comply with that state also. So if you're in Florida, okay, and then your business is actually registered in Nevada, whatever your compliance is in Nevada, you have to do that registered agent compliance as well as having your business registered in Florida compliance as well. If you don't, you can be penalized for that also. So you want to avoid trying to use these here states when it may not even be necessary. And another thing, if the state that you're actually doing business in, say you're doing business in Florida, if they're offering grants to businesses in Florida, but you're not registered in Florida, you may not qualify for those business grants as well. Okay, so that's something you have to take into consideration. Number two, avoid using chef corporation. Now, this is big because a lot of people have heard that, oh, if you use a chef corporation, you get the aging, plus you're able to get money because it's an age corporation. But they do not disclose that many of those chef corporations, they don't keep up with the back taxes. Okay. Or they may falsify the back taxes as if the corporation actually had revenue coming into it. Okay, and they may add like business trade lines, age business trade lines on the company, right? But the thing about it, if you have age business trade lines on the company and you never file taxes on the company, you can still get yourself in trouble. All right, so that's the reason I tell people you don't necessarily need a chef corporation to get qualified for funding. All right, now another thing about the chef corporations that you do need to know, a lot of these people that are selling chef corporations, they do not have active bank accounts, especially when trying to get a loan. Most lenders, if you're trying to get a loan, they usually want to see between 3 to 6 months of bank statements. Okay, so regardless of your credit, if you don't have those bank statements and you don't have those taxes up to date, then you're not going to get any funding. All right. Now, there's one other thing. This flagged address, This is very important because a lot of people, they're under the impression that I got an age corporation, I should get money and stuff. But say that this age corporation prior to you had got accounts with American Express, okay? So American Express flagged that address. So it's a virtual address. So when you go to use this company with that virtual address, because that address is filed, they may not even open up the account for you. Okay. And so a lot of these people that are selling chef corporations, they're not disclosing that to people, and people end up wasting their money. All right. So that's the reason I tell you, you have to be very careful. And again, one other thing I'm going to add to this, talking about the phantom addresses. Now, here's another thing. When you reactivate this account, okay, if it had accounts on it, like trade accounts on it that had not been satisfied, then some institutions may hold you liable for it. All right. So you have to be very careful when people are trying to sell you these chef corporations. It's choosing the right low risk NAICS code. I talk about the high risk NAICS codes, which is restaurant, consulting, credit repair, trucking, porn, gambling, MLM. Now, here's the thing about it. There are lenders out there that will give you funding for these high risk businesses. Okay, if it sees that you actually generating revenue, but you have to be very careful. So, like, say that you're trying to start a restaurant, you do not want to choose a high risk NAICS code for restaurant. You want to use something like food distribution. All right. That's what you want to do, food distribution. Now, say that you are in credit repair. Okay, so credit repair, you're not in credit repair, you're in the document preparations business. Okay, you're in the marketing business, but you're not in credit repair. All right, so you need to stay away from that. And because here's the reason why these here companies are high risk, they're highly regulated. Okay. That's why these companies are high risk. And most people are not aware why they're high risk. Now you know it's because they're actually highly regulated by the federal government. And you can get yourself in trouble using these here terms. So you have to be very careful in terms of if you're going to choose these terms, be very careful, especially when trying to get funding, because they may not or even open up the business bank account. All right. Now, like, look at real estate investing. Now, again, with real estate investing, the thing about it with real estate investing, too high of a risk. So you may want to look at something like property management or something to those effects, right? Or property repair service or something like that. But you do not want to tell a bank that you're in the real estate investing. All right. You do not want to tell an investor that or a banker that. Number four is choosing the right EIN number. Okay. Now, this is very important. That's the reason I have don't mix EIN numbers because it can actually trigger an audit. All right. So, say that you have a sole prop. You've been operating as a sole prop for many years. All right. So now you decide you're going to start a new LLC. So then when you start that LLC, well, guess what? You're thinking, well, I'll use my old EIN. You can't do that. If you do that, because when you file your taxes, your old information cross references with the new information and it will create an audit. It could possibly potential audit. Now, I'll tell you something about audits. When you are like an LLC, a lot of times they will not give you people that really understand taxes to audit you. They're going to give you newbies that barely know anything about the business. All right. Okay. So you have to be very careful in terms of even choosing your right structure. But this here EIN mixing up, you would definitely create a headache for yourself. The reason I know is because it happened to me and my tax guy was not aware of it. And so that's the reason I took it on myself to make sure I was educated so I can actually educate my tax people. Here's another thing that a lot of people get wrong when trying to get funding is choosing the right business bank account. All right. And so there are layers. And I always tell people you have to layer your business banking. You start with your tier one banks. Okay. And there are plenty of tier one banks and stuff, but I'm starting with these because these are the most popular ones that I would say I would start with. Okay. So this is Chase. And the reason is because they report to Experian Business, Small Financial Exchange, Dun and Bradstreet, and Equifax. All right. Now, here's the thing about it. A lot of people worry about Dun and Bradstreet, but not knowing that Dun and Bradstreet, they're actually going to siphon their information from Small Business Financial Exchange. So that's the reason I tell people a lot of times you don't have to worry about a Dunn's number because Dun and Bradstreet get that information from Small Business Financial Exchange. Then you have Capital One. Capital One is Dun and Bradstreet, Experian, and Small Business Financial Exchange. Then you have Citibank, Experian, Small Business Financial Exchange, Dun and Bradstreet, and Equifax. All right, so these are going to be your top tier one. Yes, you can have an American Express. They're going to report the Small Business Financial Exchange. Okay, now in reference to your tier two regional and community banks, those are the ones that mostly report to your Small Business Financial Exchange. Okay, and so like with Truist, they're going to pull your Equifax, right? Citizens pulls your Equifax. Now, BMO, PNC, BMO uses a TransUnion Vantage 4, okay? PNC, they use an Experian FICO 9. If I'm doing a good job, put a comment below, let me know. Also, if you want to get access to my free business credit videos, type Houston below and I'll send those over to you as well. All right, now your tier three funding, these are your credit unions, okay? And so with your credit unions, you have Navy Federal, all right? Then you have BCU, Baxter Credit Union. Then you have NASA. Now, Navy Federal uses Experian FICO 9. BCU uses TransUnion Vantage 3. NASA uses Experian Vantage 4. Now, the reason that I bring these here up, because you can get business credit card funding with all of these institutions with no revenue in the business. Okay, so that's the reason I bring these up. Number five is boosting up your business credit score. All right, this is very important. When you setting up a new LLC, I get it that hey, you may be on a budget, but I'm telling you guys, building out the foundation is so much important because you're able to get the maximum amount of money. All right. Now, you have like companies like Incredible, right? And so with Incredible, they report to Dun and Bradstreet, Experian, Equifax, Credit Safe. Then you have Suma's Office Supply. They report to Experian, Equifax. Um, then you have Shirtsy. Shirtsy is supported by Dun and Bradstreet. So they report to Dun and Bradstreet, Experian, Equifax, Credit Safe, Small Business, Financial Exchange, and Sonia, PayNet, and National Association of Consumer Management. Then you have Wise Business Plan that reports to Experian, Equifax, and you have NAV. Now, people say, well, how many net 30 should I have? Well, I always tell people you don't have to go overboard with net 30s, but there is one that I forgot off the list, and that's Fair Figure. Okay, so with Fair Figure, they're going to report, and Fair Figure is like NAV, okay, because you can get two trade lines out of Fair Figure as well. All right, and with bad credit. So with NAV, they'll give you two trade lines, one for their NAV Prime card, as well as setting up for their monthly business monitoring subscription. Now, with Fair Figure, the difference is they have the business monthly subscription you can sign up for, and they report to Experian, Equifax, Credit Safe, Small Business Financial Exchange as well, right? But the difference is with Fair Figure, they actually offer you a loan. So if you're making a minimum of $2,500, as a unregistered business, as a DBA, they will still give you a loan, okay? And they'll report that loan as a trade line as well, okay? So I will put that link down below as well. I'll put the links of my recommendation in terms of who would be best in terms of your trade lines to go out. Let's talk about getting your first LLC credit card. So you have Prime. Now, like I was explaining about Prime, you can get this card. It's a charge card, but there's no security deposit, no credit check. Okay. You can have bad credit, a brand new business. So this is a very good card to have. And I always tell people when you get the card, make sure you use it so they can actually start reporting that data to the business credit bureaus. Now, when you have at least a 580 credit score, then I would tell you to go after the Capital One Spark Classic card. That's the gold card. Now, with this here Classic Gold card, one of the things about it, it does report on the business side as well as the personal side. All right. Then you have Corpay. Now, Corpay reports to Dun and Bradstreet, Experian, and Equifax. Now, you do have to have at least a 600 credit score. They pull Experian FICO 8. Now, when they pull that Experian FICO 8, you can actually challenge that hard inquiry on your file when going after that. I misspelled Bank of America, but Bank of America's secured card, it starts at $1,000, but it reports to Equifax Business Credit Bureau. Then you have Divvy, aka Bill.com. All right, now it's a charge card as well. Now, with this here charge card, they give you three options. You can have it weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly. So the longer the terms, the smaller amount. So if you're going to get weekly, they'll give you $1,000. If you're going to get bi-weekly, they'll give you $500. Now, these numbers are not in that order. I'm just telling you. So bi-weekly, they may give you $500. Then your monthly, they may give you $250. Okay, so that's how they operate. The longer the time you take to pay it, the smaller the amount. Then you also have Capital on Tap. All right. So they do not work with DBA. So a new LLC, you'll be fine. But usually you do have to have revenue that's already showing. Now, the minimum revenue for this, you can be a foreign entity registered in order to get this here card as well. And so with Capital One Tap, they do your invoices and they may do your taxes. All right. So a self corporation, will they give a self corporation money? Yes, but again, I told you guys be very careful with those chef corporations. All right. So I would definitely tell you to be very careful in terms of when going after Capital One Tap, because if they ask for those documentations and you don't provide them, they definitely will shut you down. All right. So I hope this video helps you. If you have any questions, if I done a good job, put a comment below. Again, if you want the full video series, type Houston below and I'll send it over to you.